Hey everybody, just doing another Heresy Hump Day update, table update today. I'm mostly working right now on the goblins. That's almost all my hobby time has gone into painting them. But today I wanted to catch up on a couple of things, and then I also wanted to have a longer term thing I was working on. A little bit of an experiment that I'll show today. So I've got a little bit for both the historical and the fantasy or sci-fi side, just to show. I'll start with some terrain stuff that I've been working on. So I ended up Dervan's channel, Dervan on Dervan's channel. He ended up doing some roads a while back. I'll put a link to Dervan's channel below. I've always in the back of my mind had in my mind that I was going to be doing some roads, some casting, and I just wanted to try it out. I've never done this before. Dervan on his channel also cited somebody that kind of inspired him, with what he was doing as well. So this is a bit of a domino effect. There was somebody that put it on YouTube. I actually watched his video a while back. Then I watched Dervan's because I'm subscribed to Dervan's channel. I have, as many of you know, I have some of these. They're great roads. They are shingles. They're essentially like asphalt shingles. But I mainly made them for bolt action, and so I do have sort of vegetation in the middle, and where like tires would go, there's no vegetation. I've wanted to have some for black powder, some I guess wagon cart tracks, like just plain dirt roads. And after watching Dervan's video, I thought, I'd really like to try sculpting my own road and just seeing how that would all work, like doing a cast and all that stuff. So I didn't use the exact same materials he did. I did use a quick dry clay for my master. Now, and then I used a silicone, which I learned this from Dervan's channel that or his experiment, that this is wrapped in plastic right now, but you don't want to use a acid curing silicone, because it can kind of, basically, your mold won't come out well. Like there's areas where it eats away at things and stuff. It just doesn't come out to be a clean mold. I think like the mold itself actually got some things eaten into it. I used a clear, what they called, something neutral cure is what they called it, and I assumed that that's what I needed. Now, because it's a really thin road, the master that I made out of an air dry clay broke when I took it out of the silicone. Now, what I really wanted to get at it was the actual mold itself, because the master, which would have been nice to still have, was just there to make this, which I'm going to make ideally several pieces of. This is just a test for a straight road. Now, the road itself, I used Bondo in this silicone. Now, the silicone mold. Now, Dervan used, if I remember correctly, two things. He used one thing that he referred to as builder's bog, and then another thing that I think he referred to as gap filler compound, or gap filler. The builder's bog was a bit tougher and hard, like a hard substrate or substance, and the gap filler was like almost like a silicone. It was soft. Now, neither one of those products in Canada or like at your local big box hardware store are referred to that I know of in that way, like with those terms, and so I wasn't really sure what the the builder's bog, what that was. I wanted something hard, like a bit tougher, just because although it's nice to have soft and and be able to go up hills and things like that, I really wanted something that could just deal with transportation well and be a bit tougher. And so I was just looking around. I was thinking builder's bog, like what is that? And I was just kind of looking at other things, and I thought, well, I'm going to try Bondo. Because I know, like I read that people do use Bondo for certain applications in silicone molds, and so that's what I ended up using. Now, it's not been even sanded on this side yet. This is sort of the top layer that went into the mold that I did, so I have to sand that. But what I got out of it, I did get a pretty decent impression. Now, on this, I have wagon cart tracks, but I also have I made another video of how I started this out, but I didn't really quite get a series going, so I'm just going to kind of repeat this again. this essentially is something I just had laying around for when I was doing my goblins. It was an extra arm. I actually drilled and made a little hoof, and I made hoof marks throughout it. And so this is meant to be like a horse and cart kind of road. And yeah, like I have to sand it still, the sides and things, but actually I'm pretty happy with it. Considering like I have no experience in this. This is my test. It's actually, you know, I could easily snap this if I like really wanted to break it. I'm sure I could, because I used a razor already just to take the first area of the molds off. I know that it could snap. But overall, it's actually not bad. I'm actually pretty happy with it. And so I think I'll make a couple more of these straight ones to have. And I think I'm going to maybe consider doing like a T-section and a curve. You know, for a first try. Now, granted, I learned some things from Dervan's video. So, first tries go a long way when you're actually like benefiting from whatever other people's pointers. And so, yeah, like I think it's right now it's pink, but like once I paint it up and dry brush it and weather it and stuff, like I think it's gonna look nice for like black powder games. So that's a little update on Train that I've got. I also mentioned a while back that I got some GMB Flags in the mail. Now, this is for the, oh gosh, I said the name already once. It's called the, sorry folks, this is the Languedoc flag for the French-Indian War of French. And so, a couple things I would just say. As far as like my thoughts on the GMB flags, they really look nice as far as the shadows and the ripples and the design like that are printed on there. I like them better, definitely better, than the Warlord flags that came with my British that I put on. Now, the Warlord flags were free, and where these were actually quite expensive when you think about delivery, sending a small packet to Canada, that's just essentially an envelope with a couple of flags in it, and how much more it is on top of just purchasing them. I'll get to that in a second. But they're on a really nice thin paper that is so much better than the cardstock the Free Warlord one is on, which I really couldn't get to wave and have like this nice hard wavy look to. And so I really like that. It's fixed on the pole just much better than the early ones I did from the Warlord. It's just a better material to work with on the paper with the glue. The only thing I would say is, like, I would go for these anytime, like for a future flag. I really think that they're good. I think for those of you that have to order these like overseas, like I do, I'm not so sure they're worth it, in the sense that I had to spend over 15 Canadian just for 2 flags. It just, when you work out the dollar amount exchange rate and then the delivery overseas and the fact that you're buying a premium flag, like it's a premium product, you know, like this is sort of like a niche kind of cool thing. They're expensive, I mean, to do that. I'd really like to get more someday. I have another one of these just so I can actually just have another standard bearer, my skirmish, you know, black powder for my Languedoc French. But I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the future, because I almost can't justify like buying a lot of these. And definitely, like, if I'm going to get them, I'm going to have to get several so I can justify the delivery charge, not just one. But I didn't really need more than this at this time, so I don't know what you guys think. Like, I think they're really good flags, don't get me wrong. But, like, even though I like these better after today putting this on and seeing the product, but even after buying these and having them delivered, I was like scouring the internet sites to see if anybody had like free flags I could print out. I really think it'd be cool if there was a nice cheap flag you could print out, but that I could find a good, really lightweight paper like this, because it's almost counterintuitive, but I almost think that a premium lightweight thin paper is almost better than like a thicker paper for a flag, like is my initial impression. And this really worked out great, like compared to my other ones. I expect these ones to be better. I think they're going to hold up better, actually, because they're glue and thin paper and they've taken a good shape than the ones that are a thicker cardstock that don't always... They sometimes move on the pole, like, and they just didn't adhere great. It might have just been my experience. But overall, like, I really do think GMB flags are great. I'm just not sure I can justify, like, shipping them overseas. So, I have another thing to show. For those of you that are interested and liked the, Dreadnought that I showed, my first Eldar Dreadnought, and that was this one, which is the Warcry scatter laser. I ended up getting a Banshee. I actually got this guy first, it's just that I got him delivered and I had a missing part and stuff I had to deal with. But this is a Banshee class Dreadnought. Put these guys next to each other. Really cool. Ends up having like a dual attachment here because the Banshee class has like a missile launcher with 2 arms versus the Warcry just has 1 arm and like a primary weapon. Usually like a las cannon, or this is like a scatter laser. But yeah, like this is the old GW missile launcher. It's like this big canister, which is kind of cool. When I did get this, like despite all of my talking about how metal miniatures like last the test of time more, this guy, somebody clipped off his finger, so it was actually like snipped off. I didn't notice it on the eBay listing, and so I ended up just green stuffing like a pointer finger on there. I'm going to actually talk about these guys more in the future, like the models that I'm getting for this, but one of the things that's kind of cool is this guy's got flamers, which on his hand, they're like flamethrowers versus the shuriken catapult like on this guy's hand, so they're a little bit different, you know, on the sculpt and things. But yeah, I kind of love the old Eldar Dreadnought, so it's kind of nice to have a couple of different models to play the game. Alright, I'm going to pan. I've got something else to show, something that I'm going to do a review on, but I'll just show it as, show you guys what I got for my black powder games. Okay everybody, so I ended up picking up the Gale Force 9, some river sets. Now these aren't all of them that they make. What I ended up getting, all of these have regular rivers in them in addition to what is set on the front. So as an example, this one says River Expansion Island. Well, you would think that this is all about islands, but no. There's one main piece that you see right here that has an island in the middle. It's like a wider one, and then it has some other bendy rivers that connect to it, which is good because I don't have like a straight, I didn't get like a straight only river box. They all have like something extra in it. I got one called the Fords, and it has 2 pieces with Fords and 1 without. This I really wanted for Saga, because there's actually a scenario where there's fords or bridges that you need. And this is River Expansion Fork. It has 2 sort of bendy rivers and then 1 that's a fork. I thought that'd be really cool to kind of mix it up a bit. But as you guys know, I like to make my own terrain, as I just showed with the roads, and I've always intended to make my own rivers, but I've just always had something in my way as far as something I wanted to do, and I never made time for it. And I really just went without using rivers in Saga and Black Powder. I've had to rely on friends that have had rivers and things like that. And so I just decided, I looked at these and I thought they looked really cool. And I just decided to pick them up, because this gives me like 9 sections of river. So it should be really all I need. Unless I really like them, I could get more kind of variations. But I'm going to do a review on this product. I think I'm going to have to do some work on these, despite the fact that I think they're awesome. I will go into that more in the review. I think they're going to be amazing to use, but I do think there's going to be some work that's going to have to be done with them to get them to the point that I want to use them. And so yeah, like I picked these up, so I'm going to be using these in my French Indian War Saga and all that kind of stuff. Probably just about anything, but I'm going to be kitting them out for those boards, I guess. So yeah, I'll show more of this in the future. I'll do a product review. Hope everybody's having a good one, and I will do like a very specific update on what I've primarily been working on as those goblins later in the week. Talk to you later.